Today we're working on a 2002 Chevy Suburban 4-wheel drive. We're going to replace the rear brake pads and rotors. So we're going to show you how to do it and just follow along. First of all, obviously, you've got to take off your wheel. And how we're going to do this, because you've got to replace the rotors and the brake pads, is you look behind and you'll see one bolt right there. And then there's one right on the bottom side. You see it way down there. You got the same thing on the other side. What that's going to do is when you take that off, it's going to remove this whole caliper assembly and its bracket, because those are actually the bracket bolts. And when you do that, you're going to be able to replace the pads as well as the rotors. Alright, what we've got here, because you can't really fit a power tool in there, I might be able to, but it's going to be a lot of a hassle. What I've got is a nice big breaker bar here. It's actually pretty awesome because it's ratcheting. Anyway, then I have an adapter down to 3/8 and an 18mm socket. Now, if you have a half-inch socket that's 18mm, that's short or whatever, just it doesn't really matter. Just whatever you can find that works to get you in here at the right spot. Because there's not really a lot of space in here. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna come up underneath here with my little creeper, and then I'm going to try to push up on it, and hopefully this gives me enough leverage to break that bolt. After I get the bolt broke, my air ratchet might work, or I could just use a regular ratchet. So the first thing we're going to do is break the top part of the bolt, and then I'd take off the bottom bolt and break it loose. There's a couple different ways, which you'll see later, of how you can break a bolt loose. That is a little bit too much for you if you're not having a lot of upper body strength, which is like myself, and you can use your leg to break it loose. Later I'll show you how to do it with a hammer. Go get yourself a little pry bar. It's going to take a little bit of effort to get that caliper off because it's stuck on there pretty good. The other thing you want to do is go get a bungee cord, and just to kind of keep your caliper hose from being damaged while you're in that area. And when you take off your rotor, inspect it and all that, and then go ahead and take some brake clean and spray down your braked area. Also your calipers, because your new calipers are going to have a shipping oil on it to keep them from rusting. So just go ahead and at least spray the back side down, and then you can spray the front side of it down later. Also, what I needed to mention earlier was when you put the bolts back together, use Loctite. That way they don't just vibrate out later. It's just for a safety concern. Now on this dual piston caliper, you've got to kind of be a little bit careful. You've got to depress both sides somewhat evenly, because if you don't, one side as it pushes in, it's going to push the other side back out. Also, I like to use my use the old pads. There's no reason why not to, and I'm just using, as you can see, a regular C-clamp and just going back and forth. That way they're depressed evenly and all the way. As you can see, those were pretty wore out. I've sped this video along a little bit because there's no point in sitting there watching me for the actual duration of it, which I think it took me about 30 minutes or so to do both sides. You also want to make sure that you put the new pads back in there the way that they were. It's got an indicator, pad indicator. It's a little piece of metal that goes at the top. Well, you just want to put them back in there the way that they were. That way you don't have any problems. It's a good rule when you're doing anything mechanically, is to put it back the way it was, unless of course the way it was damaged or incorrect. But just put them back the way they were and you're usually alright. Here I am showing you with the Loctite, and if you're using red, you really don't need very much. And as you can see, that there was already still some old Loctite that was on there. which is going to hold it pretty good. So you're just trying to freshen it up a little bit. Just give it something that'll keep it from vibrating loose. I'll attach this to the end of my breaker bar and give myself some more leverage. Alright. Feels like it broke. Let's see. Yeah, it's broke. The next thing we do is we're gonna bust that bottom bolt with the end of a hammer. I have a 1/2 inch drive ratchet there, and sometimes you can just get it right away with that. It kind of works like a hammer, like an air hammer or an air impact. It kind of hammers it on there, gives it a little bit of blunt force and jolt, so it breaks it pretty easy, and it did so pretty good there. But anyways, I've sped the rest of this out quite a bit, so you can just see me finish up that side. And pretty much if you have any questions or anything, just shoot me over a comment. Alright, thanks guys for looking at my video. Hopefully it helped you a little bit.